Hello, everyone. This is Noelle Coma bringing you the word for this Sunday service. So the word is going to come from the book of John. We're going to be reading chapters 9, and we're going to be reading verse 1 through 34. And we're going to be reading from the King James Version, starting from verse 1. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? What a question. Jesus answered, Neither had this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God would be made manifest in him. He said the works of God will be manifest. So this gentleman being born blind was for a purpose. It was for the works of God to be manifested at that time. Verse 4. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go, here's the command, go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by the interpretation sent. He went his way therefore and washed, and came seeing. So he obeyed, and he came seeing. The neighbors therefore, and they which before had seen him, that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? So some people noticed that something happened to this man. Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said unto him, How were thy eyes opened? So they were curious. Here's the question. How was his eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. So he listened, he obeyed, and he received his sight. Verse 12. Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought the Pharisees him that after time was blind, and it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. So it was on the Sabbath. Then again the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. He said unto them, He put clay upon my eyes and washed, and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, This man is not of God, because he kept not the Sabbath day. Others said, How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them. They say unto the blind man again. So they're still questioning this. They're questioning the miracle. What sayest thou of him that he had opened thy eyes? He said, He is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him, that he had been blind, and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received his sight. They didn't believe the miracle happened. That there are people that disbelieve the miracle of Jesus. And they asked them, saying, this is verse 19, Is this your son, who you say was born blind? How then doeth he now see? His parents answered them and said, We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind. So the parents are acknowledging, this is my son, and yes, he was born blind. But by what means he now seeth, we know not, or who had opened his eyes. We know not. He is of age. Ask him. He shall speak for himself. So his parents are saying, ask my son. He knows. Why is it now that he sees? Verse 22. These words spake his parents, because they feared the Jews, For the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, he is of age, ask him. Then again, at verse 24, called they the man that was blind and said unto him, give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. So they still don't want to acknowledge that Jesus did a miracle, that Jesus performed a miracle. They still don't want to believe it. They still don't want to acknowledge it. In verse 25, he answered and said, whether he be a sinner or not, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. Then said they to him again, what did he to thee? How opened he thy eyes? So they're still asking, they're still in disbelief. He answered them, I have told you already. This is a man speaking with boldness. He said to them, the Pharisees, he said, I have told you already, and ye did not hear. Wherefore would you hear it again? Will you also be his disciples? So this is a man speaking big. He's before the crowd, and he's saying, I've told you many times. Why are you asking, do you want to be his disciple? A little sarcasm. Then they reviled him and said, thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciple. We know that God spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know him from whence he is not. The man answered and said unto them, why herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he had opened thy eyes. So he's like saying to him, you're talking about this man that opened your eyes. You don't know where he is. He did perform such a great miracle. You were blind, now you're seeing, and you don't know where this man is. Now he know, this is verse 31, that God heareth not sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? I want you to understand this in verse 32. It said, since the world began. When Jesus performed this miracle, it was something big. It was big because in this verse 32, we say, since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. What an acknowledgement. If this man, Jesus, was not of God, he could do nothing. Any miracle performed cannot be performed without Jesus. Hallelujah. If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. They answered and said unto him, thou wast altogether born in sin, and doest thou teach us? They cast him out. They couldn't take his boldness. So the word, receive the word of the Lord, hold on to the word, meditate on the word, sleep on the word, wake up with the word, and we'll see you soon. I want to say that today is a day for you to be bold. Stand up for Jesus. Don't be quiet. Stand up. Let the boldness in you come forth. Enjoy.